Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I want to do a response to a video that's one of the most unusual that I've ever covered. And I want to be clear that it was originally titled, "The Border is Closed to the Racist." It's since been retitled to "From Racial Violence to the True Liberation Day." The video starts with the creator telling the story of a young teenage black boy named Emmett Till, who in 1955 was kidnapped and beaten to death by two white men, all for the offense of whistling at a white woman. The two men were arrested based on very strong eyewitness testimony. They went to trial and they were both acquitted by an all-white jury. Subsequent to that, information surfaced that they had actually given interviews to magazines in which they admitted what happened. At this point, I was in complete agreement with the creator of the video. What happened there was horrible. It was unjust. It was inexcusable. And then he said this.
And this has been the history of white arrogance and white supremacy. Over and over again, they do their evil and they get away with it with all white juries.
Pointing out repeated injustices in a system is valid and totally fair. We cannot learn from history if we deny it or hide from it. Turning those injustices into moral indictments of an entire racial group, though, is not fair. Scripture, history, and basic logic all reject that kind of move. Those kinds of sweeping generalizations, attributing the actions of a few to an entire racial group, is every bit as racist as what happened to Emmett Till. Next, the video kind of takes off on a tangent where the creator expresses a bunch of grievances and assertions about Hamitic people. I'm not going to spend time on that because, frankly, I think he's refuting an argument that no one is making. Then he goes on to remind us that Christians should honor all men, and then he shares this rather bizarre little thought experiment about what would happen if you cut the United States in half. Let's listen.
See, a Christian has to maintain honor for all men. You can't do that if you're racist. Imagine if the United States was divided in half. Those that don't adopt 1 Peter 2:17, having honor for all men, on one side of the country, and another that do respect and honor all men on the other side of the country. Well, the one side that doesn't honor all men, they're going to devour one another based on Galatians 5:15.
Well, that certainly was interesting, wasn't it? I mean, why let a little thing like context get in your way when you have a point to make? Galatians 5 is not about race, ethnicity, nations, social power, juries, history, the United States, or white versus black, anything. Paul is dealing specifically with church infighting over circumcision, Mosaic law, justification, and Christian liberty. The conflict he's addressing is inside the church between believers over doctrine and practice. Galatians 5:15 says, "But if you bite and devour one another, watch out that you are not consumed by one another." In plain English, stop tearing each other apart over the law, or you will destroy the church. And now, to bring his video to a close, he's going to say some things that are grossly defamatory, blatantly offensive, and downright ungodly. Let's watch.
So when we look at this MAGA crowd, they want to make America great again. They want to go back to the days of Emmett Till. They want to go back to the days where they could lynch black people anytime they want to, and do all kind of evil and then get a pardon.
What this professed Christian just said is not only reprehensible, it's deliberate. It's not careless wording or a clumsy hyperbole or a passionate slip of overstatement. It's a false accusation of genocidal desire against a large group of people. Saying that millions of Americans want to lynch others, want racial terror, want impunity for murder is morally reckless and intellectually dishonest. He is condemning racism by practicing it. He says that Christians must honor all men, and racism is incompatible with the faith. And then he turns right back around and imputes murderous racial desire to millions of people, none of whom he actually even knows. He strips them of moral individuality, treats them as latent lynchers. That is exactly the sin he claims to oppose. He collapses millions of individual people into a moral monolith, a MAGA crowd. Millions of people with one murderous motivation. That's collective guilt, which is a foundational mechanism of racism. Racism always works like this. You erase the individuality, take it away from the person, assign a shared moral character which is flawed, and then you declare it as irredeemable. This technique is not new. People have used it to villainize entire groups of people in the past. We've seen it over and over to make others see them as faceless, nameless enemies of all that is right and good. It happened in 1930s Germany and Poland, only the targets weren't MAGA or more generically white people. They were Jews. I'm not calling anybody Hitler, but I am saying that the techniques employed in this guy's video are the same ones the Nazis used. It is what it is. At the end of his video, the creator lays down the law. He sets the record straight.
Because there will be no allowance for those who do not have honor to cross the border and get into salvation with those who do honor all men.
Throughout this video, we've seen examples of where he is practicing racism, making all kinds of false accusations while he's accusing other people of racism to the point where it's their desire to murder people. Now he's saying that people who don't honor all men will not cross through the border, in his words, to salvation. My question to him is, what about the guy who not only doesn't honor all men, but engages in unbelievable hypocrisy? Is he going to cross the border?